Here's something they don't teach you in school, in business seminars, or in those motivational videos that flood your feed. The most respected person in the room is often the one saying the least. Not the one with the best credentials listed on LinkedIn. Not the one dominating the conversation. Not the one performing confidence like it's an audition. The one who simply carries themselves in a way that makes people pause, pay attention, and think, there's something different about them. You've seen this person. Maybe you've worked with them. Maybe you've sat across from them at dinner. They don't fight for attention, yet somehow they command it. They don't brag about their accomplishments, yet everyone knows they're capable. They don't need to tell you they're confident. You just feel it radiating from them. And here's what's fascinating. They're doing it without saying a word. Now, before you think this is just about charisma or some mysterious quality you either have or don't, stop. Because what I'm about to show you is that respect, real respect, isn't granted through what you say. It's earned through what you do, how you move, what you tolerate, and who you are when nobody's watching. This isn't about manipulation or social tactics. This is about understanding that respect is a response to integrity, and integrity is visible even in silence, especially in silence. So if you've ever felt invisible despite your competence, overlooked despite your value, or disrespected despite your efforts, this is for you. Because it's time to stop talking your way into respect and start being your way into it. Section 1. The Respect Paradox. Let's begin with a fundamental truth that upends everything you've been taught. Respect cannot be demanded. It can only be commanded. And commanding respect has nothing to do with commanding a room. Think about the people you genuinely respect, not fear, not admire from a distance, but truly respect. Chances are they didn't earn it by telling you how great they are. They earned it by showing you consistently through their actions, their character, their boundaries, and their presence. The paradox is this: the harder you try to win respect through words, the more it eludes you. The more you perform respect-worthiness, the less respectable you become. Because respect is fundamentally about authenticity, and performance is fundamentally about pretense. So how do you win respect without saying a word? You embody the qualities that respect naturally responds to. Let me show you how. Section 2. Master your presence. Presence isn't about taking up space. It's about being fully in the space you occupy. Watch how respected people enter a room. There's no fanfare, no announcement, no desperate scan for validation. They simply arrive. Grounded, calm, aware. Their energy isn't scattered or anxious. It's collected, centered, here. This is about body language, but not in the manipulative power pose way. It's deeper. It's about stillness over fidgeting. Every nervous tap, every constant shifting, every restless movement broadcasts insecurity. Stillness broadcasts self-possession. It says, I'm comfortable in my own skin. I don't need to discharge nervous energy because I'm not nervous. Eye contact that connects, not dominates. There's a difference between the aggressive stare down and genuine, steady eye contact. One is trying to intimidate. The other is simply present, engaged, unafraid to be seen and to see others fully. Posture that reflects self-respect. Stand like you respect yourself, not puffed up, not performing, just upright. Shoulders back, not because you're trying to appear confident, but because you're not collapsing under the weight of others' opinions. Controlled, deliberate movement. Respected people don't rush. They don't dart around frantically. Their movements are intentional, economical, purposeful. Every motion communicates, I know where I'm going and why. Presence is the foundation. Get this right, and respect begins before you ever open your mouth. Section 3. Honor your word, especially to yourself. Here's where most people leak respect without realizing it. They make promises they don't keep, not just to others, to themselves. They say they'll be somewhere at 9 o'clock and show up at 9:15. They commit to a project and deliver it half finished. They set boundaries and then violate their own rules the moment it's inconvenient. They say they value something and then behave in ways that contradict that value. Every broken promise, even the small ones, even the ones only you know about, erodes your integrity. And people can sense it. They might not be able to articulate why, but they can feel the gap between who you claim to be and who you actually are. The respected person, their word is law. Not in an arrogant, I'm always right way, but in an, if I said it, I meant it. And I'll follow through way. They show up on time, not because they're obsessive, but because they respect other people's time as much as their own. They finish what they start. No trail of abandoned projects, no pattern of enthusiasm followed by disappearance. They do what they said they'd do, even when no one's watching, especially when no one's watching, because integrity is what you do when it doesn't benefit you to do it. This builds a reputation that precedes you. People learn, when this person commits, it happens. When they give their word, it's solid. You can't buy that kind of respect. You can only build it, one kept promise at a time. Section 4. Control your reactions. Nothing broadcasts immaturity faster than emotional volatility. Nothing commands respect faster than emotional regulation. I'm not talking about suppressing emotions or becoming robotic. I'm talking about the ability to feel something without being controlled by it, to be angry without lashing out, to be hurt without retaliating, to be excited without losing your grounding. Watch how respected people handle disrespect, criticism, or provocation. They don't ignore it. They process it, but they don't react impulsively. There's a pause, a moment of observation, a conscious choice about whether and how to respond. They don't defend themselves against every slight, because their self-worth isn't dependent on others' opinions. Baseless criticism bounces off them. Valid criticism is considered. Either way, there's no frantic defense, no emotional spiral. They don't need to have the last word. Let that sink in. People trying to win respect always need the last word. The final comeback, the definitive statement. People who already have respect, they can let things go. They can allow someone else to be wrong without correcting them. They handle stress without contaminating others. Under pressure, they get calmer, not more chaotic. Their steadiness becomes an anchor for others, which naturally elevates their status. Emotional mastery is magnetic. It signals maturity, security, and power. The internal kind that can't be taken away. Section 5. Set and enforce boundaries. This is the most underrated respect builder of all. The ability to say no without apology, explanation, or justification. Respected people are not people pleasers. They're kind, often generous, but they don't sacrifice their values, time, or energy to avoid disappointing others. They understand something crucial. Every time you violate your own boundaries to accommodate someone else, you teach them to disrespect you. They decline respectfully, but firmly. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available for that. I appreciate the offer, but no. No elaborate justification, no apologetic rambling, just clarity. They don't tolerate disrespect, not through aggression, but through consequences. Disrespect them once, there's distance. Disrespect them twice, there's a door. They don't make speeches about it. They just adjust their availability accordingly. They protect their time like the finite resource it is. They're not accessible 24/7. They don't respond to every message immediately. They create space for deep work, rest, and priorities. This scarcity paradoxically increases their value. Here's what happens. When you respect your own boundaries, others start to respect them too. When you treat your time as valuable, others treat it as valuable. When you refuse to be disrespected, people stop trying. Boundaries aren't walls. They're the framework within which respect can exist. Section 6. Demonstrate competence. Quietly. Respect flows naturally to competence, but only when that competence is demonstrated, not declared. The insecure person tells you about their skills, their achievements, their credentials. The respected person simply executes. They solve the problem while others are still debating approaches. They deliver results while others are crafting excuses. They let their work speak. No self-promotion necessary. The quality is undeniable. The results are visible. The impact is felt. They share credit generously because they're secure enough to elevate others. This paradoxically elevates them further. People respect leaders who make others successful. They admit what they don't know. "I don't know," said with confidence, is more respectable than false expertise. It shows security, honesty, and the humility to keep learning. They help without keeping score. They share knowledge freely. They mentor without expecting return. They contribute to others' success because they're operating from abundance, not scarcity. Competence without arrogance is a rare and beautiful combination. It draws respect like gravity. Section 7. Choose your battles wisely. Here's a secret. Respected people don't engage in every fight they could win. They let things go, not out of weakness, but out of wisdom. They understand that responding to every provocation, correcting every error, or engaging with every critic is a waste of the energy they could spend on things that actually matter. They ignore obvious bait. Someone trying to provoke them. They see it, assess it as beneath their attention, and move on. The refusal to engage is itself a power move. They don't argue with people who aren't arguing in good faith. You can't reason someone out of a position they didn't reason themselves into. Respected people recognize this and disengage. When they do engage, it's decisive. Not every battle, but the ones that matter. And when they engage, it's with full presence, full force, full commitment. Then it's over. No dwelling, no rehashing, no grudges. This selectivity makes their engagement meaningful. When they speak up, people listen. When they draw a line, people pay attention. Because it's rare enough to matter. Section 8. Be consistent. Finally, the thread that ties everything together. Consistency. You can have presence one day and be scattered the next. Respect evaporates. You can keep your word sometimes and flake other times. Respect erodes. You can set boundaries occasionally and then abandon them. Respect disappears. Respect is built on reliability, on being the same person today that you were yesterday and will be tomorrow, on having a clear set of values and actually living by them, not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's not. Consistent in your character. People know who you are. There's no guessing, no second guessing. You're not one person in this context and another person in that one. Consistent in your standards. You don't have one set of rules for yourself and another for everyone else. You don't change your values based on who's watching. Consistent in your presence. You show up, you follow through. You're dependable not just in the big moments, but in the small ones that most people don't think matter. Consistency is the compound interest of respect. It builds slowly, but once established, it's nearly impossible to shake. So let's bring this home. Respect, real, lasting, meaningful respect, is not won through charisma, charm, or clever words. It's not about being the loudest, the most visible, or the most aggressive. It's won through presence, through integrity, through emotional mastery, through boundaries, through quiet competence, through wisdom about when to engage and when to let go, and through the consistency that proves all of this isn't an act, it's who you are. You don't need to announce your value. You don't need to perform your confidence. You don't need to demand respect. You just need to be someone worthy of it. And then, without saying a word, people will give it to you. Not because you asked, not because you convinced them, but because in your presence, in your actions, in the way you carry yourself through the world, they have no choice but to recognize it. Respect isn't given to those who seek it loudest. It's given to those who embody it most quietly. Be that person. The room will notice, even if you never say a word.